The sun hung low in the sky as the small town bustled with its usual weekend rhythm. People moved in and out of shops, children played on the sidewalks, and the scent of fresh coffee drifted from the corner diner. Among the crowd, a 42-year-old woman made her way slowly in a wheelchair, her movements steady but deliberate. She was a veteran, someone who had given the best years of her life to serve her country. Though her body had been left scarred and her legs weakened beyond recovery, her spirit had learned to carry strength in silence. She wore a faded jacket, the same one she had worn for years, decorated with a few old military pins that glimmered faintly under the light. She had grown used to stares, whispers, and sometimes even pitying looks from strangers. Yet what she faced that day was something harsher. A group of bikers, loud and reckless, rolled their motorcycles down the street and came to a halt not far from her. At first, she thought nothing of it. Bikers were common in town, often just passing through. But soon their laughter grew louder, sharper, directed at her. One leaned toward her and made a cruel remark about her chair. Another mocked her service, twisting words into something ugly. Their voices carried across the street, drawing the attention of people nearby, but no one stepped in. The woman held her chin high, refusing to let them see her pain. She had endured worse on the battlefield, she told herself. Still, the sting of humiliation was hard to ignore. Her hands gripped the arms of her wheelchair, knuckles turning pale, as she tried to keep her composure. Deep inside, memories of her service flooded her mind. Moments when she had stood side by side with people who valued courage and respect. How different it felt now, sitting helpless in front of strangers who had no idea of the sacrifices she had made. The bikers circled closer, their boots hitting the pavement with heavy, mocking steps. They weren't violent yet, but their laughter cut sharper than any blade. A few bystanders pulled out their phones, perhaps to film, perhaps to call for help, but hesitation kept them rooted. The veteran's heart sank as she realized she was once again standing alone, this time not on a battlefield far away, but on her own country's streets. Yet even as her dignity was tested, she refused to let tears fall. Her silence was not weakness, it was resilience. She had promised herself long ago never to give her tormentors the satisfaction of seeing her break. Every second stretched like an eternity. The roar of the motorcycles, the echo of laughter, and the quiet unease of the crowd painted a picture of isolation. Yet the veteran's eyes stayed firm, her expression calm, as if daring the bikers to see the strength that still lived inside her. She could not fight them with her body anymore, but her spirit remained unbroken, waiting for the moment when the world might remember who she truly was. The sound of engines still rumbled in the distance when the tension suddenly shifted. A low hum began to echo, growing louder and steadier, distinct from the rough growl of the bikers' motorcycles. Heads turned down the street, and what they saw made the crowd stir with murmurs. Several black SUVs and dark motorcycles rolled in, moving with precision instead of chaos. These weren't ordinary riders. The moment the doors opened, the atmosphere changed completely. Men stepped out, their posture sharp, their presence commanding. They were Navy SEALs, veterans themselves, bound by loyalty to protect their own. The bikers froze, their confidence faltering as the SEALs advanced. No words were needed. The discipline in their walk and the intensity in their eyes spoke louder than anything. The leader, a broad-shouldered man in his late 40s with close-cropped hair, locked eyes on the disabled veteran. His jaw tightened, his respect clear. He recognized the look of someone who had given everything in service. Without hesitation, he placed himself between her and the bikers, his team forming a protective barrier around her. The bikers, who only moments before had been so bold, began to shuffle uneasily, their mocking smirks replaced by nervous glances. One of the SEALs stepped forward and spoke, his voice steady but filled with quiet power. "You don't disrespect someone who sacrificed for this country." His words cut through the air, sharp and undeniable. The crowd, which had been silent and afraid, erupted in supportive murmurs. For the first time, the veteran in the wheelchair felt the tide turning, not because she had fought back with words, But because the Brotherhood of Service had shown up to stand with her, the bikers tried to laugh it off, muttering excuses, but the SEALs didn't flinch. They didn't need threats or violence. Their sheer presence was enough to dismantle the false bravado of the men who had chosen cruelty over respect. Within minutes, the bikers backed away, retreating toward their motorcycles, their loud engines roaring once again, but this time carrying them far from the scene. Their departure left behind a heavy silence, quickly filled by applause from the bystanders who had witnessed it all. The veteran lowered her head, her chest tightening with emotion. She hadn't asked for rescue, yet seeing those who understood the weight of her scars arrive when she needed it most struck her deeply. One of the SEALs bent down slightly, meeting her gaze. "You're not alone," he said quietly, his words carrying the strength of a promise. Her lips trembled as she nodded, finally allowing herself to release the breath she'd been holding. That day, the woman was reminded that honor was not forgotten. Though the world had moments of cruelty, there were still people who valued sacrifice and stood ready to protect dignity. The SEALs didn't just defend her from bikers. They restored her faith that she was still part of a family much greater than herself. In her silence, she whispered a thank you, not just for their presence, but for reminding her that her courage still mattered.